Evening, all right, we're tanking. I know some of you will love tanking, some of you hate it. I guess the reason we're doing it is because I haven't tanked for a while. Admittedly, the chronological order of the videos may not be quite so accurate, but at this particular map, I hadn't tanked in a while. Anyway, so as you can see, there's an enemy. Now, this is an interesting new phenomena that we are finding when we start playing Dust lately. Is Dell's gone one way around the hillock, I have gone round the other, and he recalled it. I kid you not. It seems that people would rather recall tanks than fighters. Yeah, commaters, bro. Well, it would be nice if they did. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk some Dust. Bit of a downer lately on Dust. I think this comes from a bit of annoyance with the game generally, and I think it's just because I think it's been 1.7 for so long. I think there's lots of issues with 1.7, and in every map we're kind of seeing them exploited, and it's to be honest, it's getting, you notice the kind of pensive sigh. That pretty much sums it up, because it just feels like, oh god, oh, they can't be bothered, so they're just AFK red line rail gunning. Oh look, they can't be bothered, they're doing that, and oh look, they're proto stomping, strafing like a motherfucker. This game is filled with these annoyances. I don't know, can they ever be fixed, I think is the question. What's CCP doing with this game? How's this game going? What's their thoughts? Are they playing Titanfall? Are they enjoying the wonderful wonders that is Titanfall, perhaps? Probably not. I think this is I think my frustration with a lot of what's going on with Dust. And I have a theory, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on said theory. And this is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble, but hey, when does that ever bother me? One of the issues that I think CCP have developing this game in China is a lot of Western content is obviously blocked by the governmental I guess embargo on much of the internet, because obviously, if you didn't know this, the Chinese internet is more likely an intranet. It's really all about inside the country, and there is a little business has an access port out, but I think it's probably highly moderated and probably reviewed by the Secret Service. So as I say this, a Chinese man is sat with a big cigarette in his mouth and AK across his lap in some government place, listening to these conversations. I'm joking, of course, but it's I don't have an issue with that. I think if that's the particular wills and wishes of the Chinese people, then who cares? I don't really care, to be honest. That's their call. But what is interesting is that much of this game is being developed in China, so that probably means that a lot of their teams aren't actually playing games outside. Maybe they can't access a lot of the games also. So, for example, when Battlefield 4 came out, there was obviously a CCP server. However, I noted that the CCP people who joined it were all with the Icelandic and the UK and American teams. So I don't remember ever seeing any of the Chinese team joining. So this could be an issue. This could be something that's coming through, in that maybe a lot of the other games just aren't being played. I say this because there are so many good things in Titanfall that just Dust would really do well with having, and I'll give you a few examples. Number one, when you beat your enemy, it's not the end of the game. It starts an evacuation phase, and in that evacuation phase, the enemy have to get to a point, board a dropship and get into orbit. And at every point they are being hounded, shot and killed. Now it also is quite funny because it creates a last stand as well, because we had a situation where we had all 6 Titans were in and we were just mopping the floor with anybody who dared come at us, bro. And that worked quite well also. So I just think this game maybe needs that. It would stop people obviously throwing away prototype and such with a reckless abandon, because at the end of the match, if they lost everything, regardless if it's deployed, that would make a lot of sense, because they don't currently. I know a lot of you think it does. It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. It would also be kind of cool because it would stop redline railgunners as well, that eventually the red line is removed. So maybe, for example, the red line is in there for the first 5 minutes, then it's gone. That would be nice as well. So you'd basically then just be sat there waiting for the red line to be removed, and then you have privilege across the whole map. So these are things that I think Titanfall has done very well indeed. I just think, again, when you look at how amazingly good the graphics and the engine and everything is, then I think Dust would benefit greatly from playing that game. I say this because obviously I still love this game. I want this game to succeed, etc. And I think really the reality is there's a lot of incredibly good games out there at the moment that are just really, they're turning heads, let's say. And I think Dust is still a very solid game, but they either, I think, are going to continue to adapt and thrive, or they're going to, I think, stagnate. And I think that's my issue at the moment, is it does feel like this game is kind of stagnating to a degree. But anyway, this game still has an edge over many others because, the combat in this game is still very solid. It does feel like quite a solid shooter. I like these vehicle mechanics are fantastic. Look at this, it's a really good, tank battle going on here. That's rare in most games. In Battlefield 4, you don't really get that. In Titanfall, the Titan v Titan combat is brutal, and it usually ends with one person being wrenched forcibly from the cockpit, which is painful enough as it sounds, and then discarded like a used tissue, and that's really cool. So I think there is a lot of good stuff that I think's come from other games. I really would love to know if CCP are playing or interested within, because I don't know if that country limitation of the IP services is an issue, but I would imagine probably not. But I think most people, when you develop games, I can only imagine as a game developer you would play lots and lots of games. It would be your trade, surely, so it would be within your interest to play as much stuff as you can, because that then tells you obviously what's out there, what other the competition's doing. It shows you the good ideas that are coming through. And I think when you look at a lot of games out there at the current at the moment, there is an awful lot of good ideas coming through. From Titanfall to Evolve, which is the new Left 4 Dead creators game. It looks amazingly good, so you take down huge creatures in that. And I think all the way through to just sort of like the additions they're doing to Battlefield 4. I think also through to things that are kind of more MMO like. So EverQuest Next something Legacy, I forget. But it's like there's a lot of good stuff coming through, and I just think I really do hope that CCP are playing these games. So anyway, our tanking has gone well. I think this is again, I'm quite enjoying tanking. I don't do it as much as I used to, only because I think there's not much call for it. So I only do it generally, I don't know, once every day. I do once match maybe, but I think people quite prefer the dropship antics, and I don't blame them, to be quite honest. Again, issues kind of with the game at the moment. I think there's only really the mechanical issues of those general problems to do with like redline railgunners. It does feel that very few people are committing to this game as much as they used to. So again, it's all very half-assed. So whereas before you used to have very to and fro matches, nowadays it's more a case of the first assault is is the decider of who wins, and then from that point on a handful of people might keep coming. And that's kind of the feeling we're getting, and that's true from our side as well. We'll attack a point, and if we realise it's just ridiculously well defended, sometimes we just pull back and say sod it as well. So bit of a shame in a way, but certainly the way the game's going, it needs something new. It needs, and again, another thing from Titanfall, sorry, but one of the kind of clever things they've done with that is they've drawn in to the game the PvE element. So there's actually, imagine you had a game here with 32 mercs, but then the game created 50 NPCs who are also shooting and fighting around you. That would feel like a war zone, wouldn't it? That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? Huh? Well, that's exactly what Titanfall does, and that's why I think you get away with 6v6, because I tell you what, it really works. So there we go, victory. A bit of a boring one, I know, but again, I'm really keen to kind of just show you, I guess, a range of stuff. I think next time we'll look more at the scout suit. I am enjoying running the scout suit, but I've got to admit my head has been turned by other fancies going on at the moment, and I think it's very difficult to be playing Dust at the moment when Titanfall and just other games are so good. And particularly when they're kind of feeling very new as well. So you kind of see the difference in graphics, you see the difference in the gameplay as well. And I think there's a real energy about these games that I think was once there with Dust, but it's not there anymore. And I think this is why we need more content, and we need it, I think, more regularly. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.